Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Wakia's Expert Showcase. I'm Eric Moro, and this time around we are going to be talking about Iron Man. So joining us for this conversation are Jamie Hari, founder of the Marvel Database. Jamie, what's big in your world today?
Hey Eric, right now we're actually working on a much needed overhaul of our site navigation. We're going to try and make it a little bit easier for newcomers to find their favorite characters and teams and whatnot. But for our editors, we're actually working on a series of achievement badges for editing various content, including Iron Man.
Excellent. Joining Jamie is an active editor over on the Iron Man Wiki. His name is Nathan Elliot. Nathan, what's going on in your world?
Hey Eric, how's it going? I am still dreaming dreams of Gwyneth Paltrow getting her own armor in Iron Man 3 with her coming out in the pictures, with her in the armor or holding the helmet. I even saw a Lego box where she was a little Lego person inside an Iron Man armor. So I am just praying and dreaming of a rescue coming out in the movie too.
Nathan, you just reminded me I should probably give a spoiler alert right now. If you don't want to know anything about Iron Man, not that we know a ton, but we are experts, right? Tune out now, or maybe close your eyes. Listen, but close your eyes. And back to our guest. Last but not least, TV writer Chris Wyatt. Chris, you are very familiar with Tony Stark, having written several episodes of Iron Man Armored Adventures, as well as Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. So tell us what's big in your world right now.
My writing partner Kevin Burke and I have an episode of Ultimate Spider-Man airing in June called Eensy Weensy Spider, and this July Marvel's Avengers Assemble, the new Avengers animated series, will debut on Disney XD, and Kevin and I have episode 4 of that, which is features Tony pretty heavily. It's going to be good.
Excellent. So Nathan, I'm going to dig right in and start with you first. I am curious as to your impression of Tony Stark / Iron Man as he's been portrayed across 5 films.
Well, I've always felt that Robert Downey Jr. has taken the Iron Man character in the movies and dialed it up to 11. He's taken all of the best parts of the actual character itself and just expressed them in such a huge way on the big screen. Obviously, his popularity in the Iron Man 1 is the reason why we're having an Iron Man 3 now, so he's really doing a great job. Now, personally, if I had one criticism about the character is that they don't show him so much inventing things on the fly. I mean, as a brilliant inventor that can use anything around him to make stuff, they sure have him only making stuff a few times throughout the movie and then using the stuff a whole lot through the movie.
Jamie, I'm going to piggyback off of that question and ask you specifically about Robert Downey Jr. because, you know, it seems to me like the comics now are almost shifting their version of Tony Stark to follow or align itself more with Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal. We even see that in the anime version of Iron Man that Madhouse is doing as well. It's almost as if it's an animated version of Robert Downey Jr. What do you think is the reason for that?
I guess the question is he actually acting? I mean, a rich playboy genius, who has substance abuse problems. Well, I suppose genius is, probably had to practice that in front of a mirror, but no, he's nailing it. He's nailing it. And I mean, obviously, if he wasn't, there wouldn't be a second or third movie, as Nathan says. To make a successful movie franchise, you can't stray too far from those core components. But if you're too sort of adherent to the meticulous details like in the comic books, it kind of stifles the on-screen chemistry a little bit. So we're going to see, I think, the Earth 616 especially just lean a little bit towards the movie version because the movie does a great job of bringing in new viewers and comic book collectors. So why
Chris, not? As the only one of us who's actually written Tony Stark, can you respond to that or react to that? I mean, does your version, is he influenced by Downey Jr.? And on top of that, do you strive for consistency between your versions? Because you've written him now for 3 different shows.
No, it's very different from show to show. And I mean, Robert Downey Jr.'s presence is sort of always felt, but to different degrees. Like in Iron Man Armored Adventures, that was Tony Stark as a teenager. What if he invented Iron Man when he was in high school? The alcoholism, the womanizing, the spending, that the playboyism sort of wasn't a part of that characterization.
But it was a part of my high school experience.
Yeah, this wasn't Eric Moro. In Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, that's pretty close to the Earth 616 character. That series was meant to be sort of a Reader's Digest of the best stories of all the decades of Avengers history. Whereas the new show, Marvel Avengers Assemble, which will be on in July, is very close to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that Tony Stark is going to be very much influenced by the cinematic Tony Stark, by Robert Downey Jr., in a way that even in Earth's Mightiest Heroes it wasn't.
Okay. So Nathan, fans have been clamoring for for an on-screen version of the Demon in a Bottle storyline, where we've got Tony Stark fighting against alcoholism. He kind of hits rock bottom. Rhodey has to take over as Iron Man. And little by little, we see Tony come back up from the ashes. This time around, in part 3, they're specifically picking up right after what he experienced in the Avengers. How can he ever live a normal life? What do you think about that take? Do you think they should be focused solely on adapting kind of popular comic book storylines?
Not necessarily, but I think the progression that you talked about, where he loses everything and hits rock bottom and then has to build himself back up, and maybe there's some strife to overcome to come back to where he was before. It's such a crucial part of the Iron Man character, and really a crucial part of a lot of the Marvel characters too, that if they stray too far from that kind of general setup, it worries me in general. Now, I've been wrong on a lot of my opinions about these movies before they came out in the past, so I'm assuming that my worries about whether or not it's going to continue to show that part of the character are false, again, just like they were for Avengers, just like they were for all the other ones.
Chris, what's your take on adapting entire story arcs or storylines for the big or small screen? Do you think it's better to do that, or maybe to pull out really cool elements and cherry pick them into an original idea?
I think it's much better for the filmmakers to cherry pick the best of the storylines that have come, because translating a story directly will be great for the fans who remember it and have nostalgia for it. But the fact of the matter is, every story can be improved upon. Every story has best parts that can be used. And so if you think of the comics almost as development, and you're just picking the best parts of it, you get something that's going to feel fresh, going to feel original, going to feel good for contemporary audiences.
Jamie, I'm going to go now to you. And, every hero is only as good as his villain. And we've got this time around fan favorite villain, the Mandarin, showing up. So I wanted to ask you what makes that character such a popular villain, and what do you think about Sir Ben Kingsley being the actor tapped to portray him?
He's great for a lot of reasons. I mean, ultimately, he's one-to-one with Tony Stark on a lot of various items. Like he's a genius, and he's ruthless, and keeping up with in terms of technology and all the Prometheus Corporation and all that good stuff. But something that makes him really different is his campiness. He's a cliched stereotype from the 60s, and that was perfect for a young audience in the 60s and 70s who wanted sort of that over-the-top type of character. And but I think it's ripe for really updating in a modern cinematic universe.
Chris, you were cringing the entire time he was talking about the Mandarin.
He is campy, and I do think Ben Kingsley is a good choice. But no, I'm not a big fan of the Mandarin, because he was obviously a direct lift from Fu Manchu and from, and this sort of sinister Yellow Peril kind of thing. Like I mean, casting someone who wasn't even Asian is probably the only that sort of terrible character. I'm sure Ben Kingsley would be great, but
what's been your favorite character that you actually, or your favorite villain that you wrote for Tony Stark?
AIM. I love AIM. I've gotten to write AIM for all 3 of the shows I've gotten to write for. Yeah, it's a group of mad scientists with no morals whatsoever, completely amoral scientists who just run around conducting experiments. They're geniuses.
All right, guys. We got time for one more question, so I'm going to throw it out to the 3 of you, actually. What is the one thing that, as both a fan of the films and a fan of the comics, you want to see in the next big screen live-action incarnation of Iron Man? Nathan, I'm going to start with you.
It's really hard because he's been involved, Iron Man's been involved in so many huge and amazing events in Marvel, especially in recent years. I mean, do you have Tony Stark take over S.H.I.E.L.D. from Nick Fury?
Yes.
Do you have him lose his whole corporation and become a penniless, homeless guy on the streets?
Yes.
You know, and how could you even skip the Civil War between Captain America and Iron Man? That's just
can't.
so epic. Yes, you have to do it eventually on TV, right, or on the film. So, but my personal favorite is seeing alternate versions of these characters, which Marvel does all the time. So if I had to pick one, I'd definitely pick seeing Robert Downey Jr. portray Iron Man as more of a world ruler, where he's gone to the extreme of his own ego and taken over the world and pressed it down under his own thumb.
Nice. All right, Jamie, your turn.
You know, as much as we'd like to see Demon in a Bottle and all those stories, I don't really think they fit for a wider audience, a summer blockbuster movie audience. So I think something like Serpent Squad or something like that, that would be fun to see.
Oh, nice. That's a complete departure.
Complete.
Chris?
You like campy, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I really do.
This is my way of saying Chris dazzle me.
Armor Wars. I want to see Armor Wars on the big screen. You know, maybe not Stiltman from Armor Wars, but yeah, Tony Stark loses control of his technology and has to go avenge the theft of his tech. I think that'd be amazing.
Can I change my answer? I
Yeah, do it.
I want
Change your
Stiltman now. I want Stiltman now.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Expert Showcase. We'd love to hear what you think, so please leave your comments in the comments field below. You could also tweet us at WikiaEnt using the hashtag Expert Showcase. You can follow Jamie on the Marvel Database by going to facebook.com/Marvel Database. Nathan, follow his work on the Iron Man Wiki. And Chris, you've got 2 shows, actually. Avengers Assemble, and you also have an Ultimate Spider-Man episode, right?
That's right. Disney XD this summer. Check it out.
So please follow Chris there. And thanks a lot for joining, guys. We appreciate it.